goes into the purple sky of Velcro. A cold alien world where no one dared enter the jungle after sundown. Taina stood still, her hands tied in front of her. Glowing ropes, digging into her wrists. She wore a long ceremonial robe, deep blue with silver markings, the traditional color of the chosen ones. Her eyes, violet and wide, stared at the ground as her legs shook beneath her. She was only 17 cycles old, but tonight she was to become a sacrifice. The villagers danced around the altar made of black stone, whispering prayers and fears. The elders stood tall, their faces hidden behind bone masks, chanting ancient words. They believed the monster in the jungle, called the Dread One, needed to be fed, or it would destroy them all. And tonight it was Taina's turn. Her mother wept silently, hidden in the crowd, while her father stood still like stone. He was the one who agreed to offer her. To save their village from wrath, the wind blew cold, and the trees beyond the altar rustled like something enormous moved within. Taina looked toward the jungle, her heart pounding louder than the drums. No one ever returned from the altar. The Dread One always came, and it always took. The ceremony was almost complete. An elder stepped forward, raised a glowing blade, and pointed toward the jungle. Taina of Clan Vel. He said, "You are brave and chosen. May your spirit calm the beast." The crowd fell silent. A deep growl echoed from the trees, low and long, shaking the ground slightly. Taina's eyes filled with tears, but she didn't scream. She just closed her eyes and whispered, "Please. Let it be quick." Then a loud crack split the sky. Something flew fast overhead, like fire burning through clouds. People screamed and ducked as a strange machine fell from above. Crashing into the jungle just beyond the altar, smoke rose. The trees caught fire, and everything stopped for a moment from the fire. A figure ran through the smoke, 2 legs, armored body, glowing visor. It was a human. Jack Connor, ex-soldier, survivor of a shipwreck, had just landed in the middle of a sacred sacrifice. He looked confused, injured, but his eyes focused on Taina, behind her. The growl came again, closer, louder. The ground shook as something massive approached from the trees. Jack saw her tied to the stone, saw the fear in her eyes, and he didn't wait. He pulled out his pulse blade, dashed forward, and with one clean slash, cut her ropes. Gasps filled the air as the alien girl fell into his arms. She looked up at him in shock, her lips trembling. You're human," she whispered. He didn't answer, only said, "We have to move." Behind them, the Dread One appeared, towering, with black armor-like skin, eyes like fire, and claws that could tear stone. It roared, charging toward them. Jack turned and ran with Taina in his arms, leaping off the altar and into the trees. The villagers screamed and scattered, the elders shouting curses, but Taina didn't hear them. She was in the arms of a human race she was taught to hate and fear. Yet, he saved her, without asking, without knowing her. The monster roared behind them, chasing, furious, unstoppable branches whipped against them. Thorns tore at Jack's suit, but he didn't slow. Taina looked over his shoulder, seeing the altar far behind, her old life burning in the distance. She whispered, "Why? Why would you save me?" Jack answered without turning, "Because no one else did." And that was the moment her heart began to change. Asterisk branches slapped against Jack's armor as he ran through the thick alien jungle, carrying the girl tightly. In his arms, her breath was fast and shallow, her glowing eyes fixed on the shadows moving behind them. The monster was still chasing, tearing through trees with deep growls and heavy steps. Every time it roared, the trees shook and birds scattered. From the treetops, Jack didn't know what the creature was, but he knew it wasn't something he could fight right now. Not while carrying her. His boots slammed into the mud, sliding as he dodged roots and low branches. The jungle was alive with strange lights plants. Glowing blue, mist rising from moss-covered rocks. The girl gripped his vest tightly, trembling. Still trying to understand what was happening, he had fallen from the sky. A fireball in the middle of her death ceremony. She didn't even know his name. They reached a small ravine, a dry stream bed with broken stones and thick cover. Jack ducked behind a fallen tree and gently placed her down, holding a finger to his lips. She nodded, still breathing hard. The jungle quieted again. But that silence didn't feel safe. It felt like the monster was watching. Waiting, Jack scanned the area. His visor cracked, one side flickering. His hands moved quickly, pulling a small blade from his belt and checking his pulse device. Low charge, barely 5% left. He looked at the girl, then around for anything to use, a branch, a rock, anything. She watched him carefully, then whispered, "Your name." He turned to her, surprised she spoke, then said quietly, "Jack, Jack," she repeated, the sound strange in her mouth. "I am Tana." A beat passed between them, quiet but full. Then Jack asked, "That thing? It hunts sacrifices." She nodded slowly. "Every moon cycle, one girl is taken to the altar, and it always comes." "Yes," she said, her voice weak. "No one returns." Jack clenched his jaw. "Not this time." Tana looked at him, confused. "Why do you care? You're not from here." He didn't answer right away. Instead, pulling a canister from his belt and handing it to her, she opened it cautiously, sniffed the contents, then drank. It was bitter, but warm, because someone should care, he said finally. "And right now, that someone is me." Her eyes dropped to the forest floor, unsure how to reply. She was taught humans were selfish, violent, dangerous, but this one didn't fit that story. Before she could say more, a sharp crack echoed in the distance, branches breaking under something heavy. The monster was moving again. Jack stood and pulled her up. "We can't stay," she nodded, still limping from the rough ceremony, but followed him deeper into the trees. After 20 more minutes of silent running, they came to a clearing, overgrown but dry. A half-destroyed escape pod lay in the center, covered in vines and dust. Jack's crash site. He brought her inside, quickly sealing the hatch with a hiss of air. Lights flickered weakly, enough to see each other clearly. Tana collapsed to the floor. Exhausted, Jack took off his helmet, showing her his face for the first time. Human, but not frightening. Just tired. Worn, but strangely kind. He opened a survival pack, handed her a blanket and protein bar, then leaned against the wall, watching her. Tana stared at him silently, then whispered, "My people will hunt you." "I know," he said, "but I couldn't let you die." She looked down at her hands, still shaking. "They said sacrifice brings peace, but I only felt fear." Jack nodded slowly. "That's not peace, Tana. That's control." She looked up at him again, and for the first time, there was something else in her eyes, not just fear, something softer, something curious. Outside, the jungle howled. The creature still searching. Inside, a strange silence formed between two strangers, a girl who had been ready to die, and a man who didn't let her. The escape pod hummed softly, its lights flickering as Tana sat wrapped in the thin blanket Jack gave her. Her violet eyes scanned the small metal walls, so different from the forests and skies of her home. Jack leaned close, studying her carefully, noticing the faint scars along her arms and the way her fingers trembled. "I want to help," he said quietly, "but I don't know your world or your people." Tana looked down, shadows crossing her face. "My tribe fears humans, they say." "You are cruel and bring death." Jack nodded. "Some humans are like that, but not me." She finally met his gaze, curious and unsure. "Why did you save me?" Jack sighed, because no one else did. Her heart ached at those words. Not from sadness, but a strange warmth, a feeling she did not understand. Suddenly, the pod shuddered, an alarm blinked red, and the soft hum changed to a harsh beep. Jack jumped up, moving to the control panel. Something's coming. Tina's eyes widened. The monster. Jack shook his head. Worse. People outside. Muffled voices echoed through the jungle canopy, harsh and angry. They found us, Jack said. Voice low but steady. They don't want you alive. Tina's breath hitched, fear gripping her again, but this time it mixed with something stronger: hope. Jack activated a panel, revealing a holographic map of the area. There's a path through the cliffs, he said, pointing. If we move fast, we can lose them. Tina stood, her body still weak, but her spirit rising. I don't want to run forever, she whispered, but I will follow you. Jack smiled faintly. Then let's make sure you have a future to come back to. Outside, the jungle grew quiet, as if waiting for the storm to break. Inside the small pod, two unlikely allies prepared to fight for their lives, one a girl who once accepted death, the other a man who refused to give up. Together, they would face the darkness, and maybe, just maybe, find a new light. The jungle was alive with whispers, every leaf and branch seeming to hold a secret. Jack and Tina moved silently through the undergrowth, hearts pounding, senses sharp. The path ahead twisted between towering trees covered in glowing moss, casting eerie shadows that danced with their steps. Suddenly, a sharp crack echoed nearby, a twig snapping under heavy weight. Jack froze and raised a hand, signaling Tina to stop. Her breath caught in her throat as eyes appeared in the darkness, dozens of hunters, their faces painted with red and black. Weapons drawn. They're faster than we thought, Jack whispered, gripping his pulse blade tighter. Tina's skin began to shimmer faintly, the sacred energy of her people awakening inside her. The hunters shouted, "Return the sacrifice! Return the chosen!" Jack stepped forward, shielding Tina with his body. You want her? Come and take her. A wild battle erupted. The hunters lunged, but Jack fought with skill and strength, born of years on battlefields far from this jungle. Tina focused her glowing hands, sending waves of light that blinded some attackers. Despite their fear, she felt a fierce power growing inside, a power she never knew she had. One hunter broke through the line, reaching for Tina, but Jack caught his wrist and twisted it, forcing him to drop his weapon. The hunters began to retreat. Realizing this was no easy fight, Tina looked at Jack with a new respect. You protect me like a true warrior. Jack nodded, and I will protect you until this nightmare ends. But as the last hunter disappeared into the jungle, a terrible growl shook the ground. The Dread One was coming, angrier, closer, more deadly than ever. Jack grabbed Tina's hand. Running toward a narrow canyon. We have to reach the cliffs. There's a way out. Tina squeezed his hand, courage replacing fear. Lead the way. Behind them, the jungle seemed to roar with fury, chasing two souls bound by fate and fire. The cliffs rose sharp and dark before them, jagged teeth against the starry sky. Jack helped Tina climb the rocky path, her legs weak but her spirit stronger than ever. The air was thin, cold, but filled with a strange energy that made her skin tingle. As they reached a small ledge, Tina suddenly stopped, clutching her chest. Her glowing marks flared brightly, pulsing with a power she barely understood. Jack looked at her with concern. What's happening? Tina closed her eyes, breathing deep, then whispered, I can feel the old magic, my ancestors' strength. Her body lifted slightly, as if the ground itself was pulling her up. Jack reached out, steadying her. Use it, he urged. Use it to save us. With trembling hands, Tina released a wave of light that spread like a shield around them. The Dread One's roar echoed below, but the creature hesitated, unable to cross the glowing barrier. For the first time, Tana felt control, not fear. Jack smiled. You're more than a sacrifice, you're a guardian. Tana looked at him, her eyes shining brighter than the stars. Together, we can change fate. But their moment of hope was broken by a sudden noise behind them. A figure stepped out from the shadows, an elder from her tribe, face pale and eyes wild. You betray your people. The elder spat, raising a weapon. Jack stepped between them. No more sacrifices, he said firmly. Not while I'm here. Tana took a deep breath and stood tall, ready to face not just the monster, but those who tried to control her. The elder's eyes burned with anger as he faced Jack and Tana on the rocky ledge. Foolish human, he snarled. You know nothing of our ways. Tana stepped forward, her glowing skin casting soft light on the elder's harsh face. I know enough to choose my own path, she said firmly, voice steady despite the fear twisting inside her. The elder raised his weapon, a curved blade carved with ancient symbols. You bring shame to the tribe. Jack moved quickly, blocking the strike with his pulse blade, sparks flying as metal met energy. The fight was fierce, but brief. Jack's strength and skill surprising the elder. Behind them, the jungle trembled once more. The monsters roared closer than ever. Suddenly, Tana's power flared uncontrollably, light bursting from her hands in a wave that pushed the elder back. He fell to his knees, breathing hard, eyes wide with fear and awe. The sacrifice is no more, Tana declared. I am the guardian now, the elder whispered. The Dread One is not just a beast, it is a guardian too. Jack frowned. A guardian of what? Before the elder could answer, the ground shook violently, and the Dread One emerged from the mist below, towering and fierce. But instead of attacking, it stopped, its fiery eyes locking with Tana's glowing ones. A silent understanding passed between them to protectors, bound by an ancient promise. Tana reached out her hand, and the monster lowered its massive head in submission. Jack watched, stunned, as the creature transformed from a feared monster into a silent guardian. The jungle grew quiet, and the threat faded. Tana turned to Jack. Our fight is just beginning, but now we fight together. The first light of dawn painted the jungle. In soft gold, Tana stood at the cliff's edge, the massive guardian by her side. Silent and watchful, her tribe had fallen silent, the fear in their eyes replaced by awe and respect. Jack stood close, tired but steady, the bond between them stronger than words. For the first time, Tana felt free, not a sacrifice, not a prisoner of fear, but a queen of her own fate. She reached for Jack's hand, their fingers intertwining. Like a promise, we changed their story, she said softly. No more fear. No more pain, Jack smiled. We wrote a new future together. Behind them, the jungle hummed with life. The monster's watchful gaze, never leaving their backs. Tana looked up at the rising sun and whispered, This is only the beginning. A new journey awaited, one of hope, strength, and a love born in the darkest shadows. Together, the human and the alien girl walked forward into a future no one could have imagined. The jungle was no longer a place of death, but a place where legends were born, and their story had just begun.